Naan is basically a bread that can be eaten every day as a nice accompaniment. It's usually made with any kind of flour, but usually white flour. I want to kick up the nutrition and actually use wheat flour. So I'm going to go 50-50 because I want that nice soft texture, yet I still want the health benefits of wheat flour. It's very simple. We're going to go wets and dries. So let's combine all the dries first. I've got all-purpose flour, and I'll leave some for my bench flour, meaning my rolling out flour, and I've got wheat flour. And I'm about 50-50. A little bit of cornmeal. Now I've got salt, of course, for flavor. Sugar is going to work with the yeast to kind of get it a nice chewy texture. A little bit of baking soda. And lastly, rapid rise yeast. That's going to go right in there. So let's bring those together just to make our non-dry mix. Let's work on the wets now. I've got my thermometer in here because I want to make sure my water's at about 100 to 105 degrees. That's that perfect temperature where the yeast is going to start activating and start really bringing all these wets and dries and getting some bubbles in there to get a nice soft naan. So I've got some yogurt. This is just plain yogurt now in. I've got a little bit of oil, and I'm using olive oil just to kind of change it up and keep it healthy as well. And then lastly, an egg. So I've got my egg in. Now taking a whisk, I can do the little kind of tornado whisk. Now remember, this liquid mixture is at about 105 degrees. Now I'm gonna start building a bread. I'm gonna make a little well in the middle here, and then bring in the wet slowly. Now you're not gonna use all the wet sometimes. It's a good idea to always use about 75 of the wets to the dry. And then just kind of start working it together slowly. I'm not using my hands yet because I don't want flour all over. I know I'm going to need a little more here just by feel. I'm just looking for all the flour to bind up with all the liquid. This can be done in a mixer, but I kind of like the feel of it because I want to kind of feel the dough and make sure it's not too tight or not too loose. Excellent. So I'm just going to take my hands, flour them up slightly, and just start pushing this together. Now keep flour all over. We call this bench flour. Keep it on your hands, keep it on the board, and it keeps things nice and tidy. So now I'm going to start to just work it in. And only add flour as you need because you don't want to get to that point where it's too dry. You want this dough ball to kind of be that perfect place where it's staying together, it's just moist enough. Now I'll show you a little trick to kind of pull it together. Using the friction of the board, I'm just rounding it so it comes together into a nice little package. The seam's at the bottom and where it should be. And I'm gonna throw it right in. And I wanna cover this, but I'm just using a little wet towel here. The naan has been rising for, about an hour. And as you can see, it's really puffed up. Now we're gonna have to punch this down to get rid of some of those air bubbles and then start portioning it out. So real simply, you start hearing the gas escape. I just want you to gently push it down until you hear all the air escaping. And then what we'll do is we'll turn it out, we'll pull it out onto the board. And if a little sticks on the bottom, that's fine. That's completely normal. I wouldn't worry about that at all. So we've got the naan, and what I'm going to do is I want to portion it out into little pieces. And the best way to do that is you actually use a nice little dough scraper. So if I cut off a little piece with a dough scraper, and if I'm getting any stick, I have a little bit of bench flour here for myself. And I'll use a little bit just to kind of take out a little insurance against sticking. So I'll take off a little piece on this side. I usually like to make it into like a little log first so I can kind of accurately figure out where I want to cut these for the sizing. And I'll cut those off. And now that I have my portions ready, I'm going to start rolling them up. And it's very simple. Now, I'm just going to kind of use the friction of the board and roll these up. And I'm going to probably end up with a little bigger than a ping pong ball to start. And let's see, that's one, that's two. If you start getting really good, you can start using two hands and just kind of going in circular motions. And I've got a sheet pan here that's oiled up slightly. They don't have to be perfect balls. You just want them kind of nice and tucked together. Now remember, this is a wheat naan, so you could have made this with any kind of flour you wanted to. Let's go 3 across, find that seam on the bottom. All right, let's put that one down. We're using a flat griddle that covers 2 burners instead of that really wonderful tandoor that Sheil has at Surya. So these have double proofed, meaning they've actually risen yet again after being rolled into balls. So we'll take these and we want to actually sheet them out. So what I'm gonna do is start pounding it out with my fist, kind of in a circular motion, until it gets down into a semi-disc. I'm actually going to just go forward and back. You really want that rustic look. You don't want that cookie cutter look to these. So I'm just gonna sheet them out until they're about a 1/4 inch in thickness. And that's ready to go. Let me tell you the secret to not burning these. I've got a griddle that covers 2 burners, so I've got the back burner, the one closest to me, fully blazing hot, and I've got the front on very low. So I can control my cook time. I'm gonna take it and start them on the hot side and then finish them on the cool side. I've made a little bit of like garlic butter, kind of half butter, half olive oil to do my garlic naans. So using a little brush, just a tiny bit, kind of here and there to make sure it covers, and you're gonna hear this nice sizzle once it hits the griddle. I'm gonna put another one down using my garlic butter. If you've ever ordered garlic naan, it's basically the same process, except they slather this wonderful garlic butter oil afterwards. So let me get those down. This one's about ready to turn, so we happy there? I think that's pretty nice. Let's turn that one over. So this one's gonna take a little while. Checking that, my head's always on that bread. Perfect, that's exactly where I want it. Now this one is also at color, so I can move it forward, even stack them if I want. So I can keep one warming the other. Let's check our naans now. I'm happy there. Those are gonna be my whole naans. This is gonna be my one that I'm gonna cut up a bit. Excellent, let's take them over to the plate. I've kept these 2 really big so they can be family naans. So I can stick them right in my basket and the towel's gonna keep them warm. And let me show you the plate up here. If you wanna get a little dramatic, you could put a slight angle and kind of even third these, I guess.